Hey guys, it's MMA Vulture coming at you live with UFC Fight Night, Magny versus Prates, full card picks. And we're going to go ahead and jump right into the first bout of the night, being Tresean Gore versus Antonio Trocoli. And I am going with Tresean Gore in this one over Antonio Trocoli, because Antonio Trocoli is actually an ex-steroid user. I believe that he was, and he ended up getting knocked out in his recent fight by Shada Magomedov by left hook. And in this fight, he was merely just trying to survive, to be completely honest. He was getting outstruck, he was getting picked apart, he was getting absolutely destroyed by Shada Magomedov, who was just the better striker and just looked all around better in that fight. Antonio Trocoli is a good striker with a stiff jab. He's got decent combinations. He's a good grappler with relatively solid takedowns, but I just think that Tresean Gore is all around better. Though Tresean Gore hasn't fought in 2 years, so that does bring a little bit of worry. I do believe he's been progressing and has been fixing those holes of his, and he is coming off of a submission win over Josh Fremd, where he got the finish via guillotine choke. So he's a good striker with clean combinations, snappy high and low kicks, and not only that, he's a good grappler. So he's a very well-rounded fighter, in which Antonio Trocoli is not really that well of a rounded fighter, and I believe that Tresean Gore is going to have the striking advantage as well as the reach advantage. I think that it's going to be a very close fight between these two because they're not the best in terms of ranking, I guess you could say. They're just not the best fighters in general, is what I'm trying to say. They're two very mediocre fighters trying to come up, trying to develop, trying to find their path per se. And I just think that Tresean Gore is on a better path, has been progressing better, has been developing a lot better, has been looking better as of lately, and I think that he's going to look better against Antonio Trocoli, who has been looking dull, flat, and just not the best as of lately. Give me Tresean Gore to beat Antonio Trocoli in a very close battle. And let's look at the odds here on this fight, in which Tresean Gore is sitting at a negative 190, Antonio Trocoli sitting at a plus 165. So I like Tresean Gore. I think that he's going to have the striking and the striking advantage as well as the reach advantage, is what I'm trying to say. So I think that's going to help propel him to the win here against Antonio Trocoli. Not only that, he's got those takedowns, those strong takedowns, and I think that he's going to be able to level change against Antonio Trocoli as he's striking. Because he's a good striker and brings that striking threat, he's going to find those takedowns and be able to maintain control of Trocoli on the ground and beat him. I think it's going to be close, but I think Tresean Gore pulls it off, 29-28. Over 2.5 sitting at a plus 110. Under 2.5 sitting at a negative 140. Tresean Gore, I said 29-28. I feel like it could go to decision. I think that this could. I'm going to say that this goes to decision, but I do think that Tresean Gore is live to end this inside the distance. I will say that. Yeah, I'm going to say over 2.5, but I think Tresean Gore is definitely live to end this inside the distance. Give me Tresean Gore to beat Antonio Trocoli in a very close battle. And let's go ahead and move along to the next bout, in Cortavious Romious versus Gaston Bolaños. And I am going with Cortavious Romious. I think that he's the more well-rounded fighter here. I think that Gaston Bolaños is just mainly good in the striking department. I think that he's a good striker with a stiff jab, solid high and low kicks. He's got decent grappling. He's got relatively decent takedown defense. I mean, he got out-grappled by Aaron Phillips in their bout. As you can see here, where is it? Right here. He got out-grappled by Aaron Phillips in their bout. And Aaron Phillips isn't even a known grappler and doesn't really have the best grappling knowledge or base. So that is a little bit surprising. I also do think that Gaston Bolaños sometimes overextends on his shots. leading to him getting tagged and eating shots, which is why I am picking Cortavious. Like I said, I think he's the more well-rounded fighter. He's also coming off of a dominant win over Michael Imperato, and he had great striking in that bout. He's got quick, clean combinations. He mixes up his shots to the head and to the body very, very well. He's got that knockout power for sure. He brings a good grappling side of things as well. Not just great striking. He brings that good grappling side. He's got solid takedowns. He maintains control of you when he gets you down. He's got tricky submissions. He's a very well-rounded fighter. Like I said, he's a check all the boxes type of fighter. Yes, he has the loss to Roman Tavares where he got knocked out. But I mean, he came back after that, and a lot of people wouldn't do that. He worked his way back. He fought, beat Eric Vo via submission, then came back and absolutely dominated Michael Imperato and looked good in that fight. And not only that, I believe that he's going to do good in this fight against Gaston. Though Gaston is a pretty good boxer and a good kickboxer as well. If many of you guys didn't know, he's a kickboxer as well. I think Cortavious is still going to be the better fighter on the feet and in the grappling department. I think that he's going to be the quicker, slicker fighter. I think that he's going to have the speed advantage. I think he's going to be able to enter and exit the pocket with ease. Give me Cortavious Romious to beat Gaston Bolaños. I think that Bolaños isn't up there with the UFC material. I mean, he lost to Marcus McGee getting knocked out. Yes, he has a win over Aaron Phillips, but then has a win over Daniel Carey and then lost to Solo Hotley Jr., Daniel Carey. I just don't think he's UFC material. Yes, he won against Aaron Phillips, but that was very, very close to going either way, I believe, in which I think that Gaston Bolaños just doesn't have it like Cortavious. Cortavious got that X factor that Bolaños doesn't, and he's going to beat him. Give me Cortavious to beat Bolaños. And let's look at the odds here, in which Cortavious sitting at a negative 200, Bolaños sitting at a plus 170. Like I said, Cortavious the more well-rounded fighter. I think he's good in parlays as well as money line sitting at a negative 200 price tag. Over 2.5 sitting at a plus 165. Under 2.5 sitting at a negative 205. I like Cortavious. As well as the under 2.5. I think Cortavious ends it early on Gaston Bolaños. I think he finds the chin. I think he knocks out Bolaños. And let's go ahead and move along to the next bout, in which is Melissa Mullins versus Klaudia Sygula. And I am going with Melissa Mullins to beat Klaudia Sygula. I think her pressure wrestling fight style is going to give Klaudia Sygula problems. I think that Melissa Mullins, though coming off of a knockout loss to Nora Cornell via body shots, did look good in her previous fight against Irina, who was a promising prospect, and she beat the crap out of her. She beat her via unanimous decision, as you guys can see. Melissa Mullins has decent striking. She's got that quick, stiff jab. She's got she mixes up her shots pretty decently well, I'd say, but where she really shines is that grappling. She's got high-level grappling. She's got solid takedowns. She's got good jiu-jitsu. She maintains control of you when she gets you down. I believe that she's going to have the grappling advantage here against Klaudia Sygula, as well as the strength advantage. I think she's going to be a lot stronger than Klaudia. I think Klaudia, though she is a relatively good striker, she's taking this on short notice, so I think that gives Melissa Mullins a lot better of a chance as well. She was previously fighting a grappler, so that's what she was training for. I think that she's still going to be using that grappling, obviously, and it's going to be an even better matchup in the sense that she has the clear-cut grappling advantage here over Klaudia Sygula, as well as, I believe, the strength. Like I said, I think that Klaudia Sygula is in for a rude awakening, in which, yes, she has knockout power. Yes, she has quick, clean combinations. She's got decent grappling with all-right takedown defense, which is where I think the problem lies, is that all-right takedown defense. I don't think she has good enough takedown defense to really snub Melissa Mullins. I think Melissa Mullins is going to be able to get those takedowns at will, be able to mix in the striking good enough to find the level changes and find those takedowns and maintain control of Klaudia, land some nice, devastating ground and pound, and beat the crap out of Klaudia. I think that she has the clear-cut grappling advantage. Klaudia has a slight striking advantage, but it's not a wide gap. at all. I don't think it's wide enough for me to pick Klaudia at all. That's why I think I'm going Melissa Mullins to beat Klaudia, and I think there's a huge gap in the grappling advantage-wise. Give me Melissa Mullins to beat Klaudia, in which is going to be very, very fun to watch. And let's look at the odds here on this one. And Melissa sitting at a negative 235, Klaudia sitting at a plus 195. The odds match. I mean, Melissa has the clear-cut grappling advantage. Sygula Young has the striking, a slight, very, very slight striking advantage. And I think that Melissa's going to be able to fare well in the striking department and even better in the grappling department with their clear-cut grappling advantage. Over 2.5 sitting at a negative 260, under 2.5 sitting at a plus 190. I like the over 2.5 in this fight. I like Melissa to win this via decision. Give me Melissa to beat Sygula. And let's throw it to the next fight on this card in Cody Stamann versus Damon Blackshear. And I am on Damon Blackshear route. I think that he beats Cody Stamann. I think that Damon Blackshear, although he got knocked out by Montel Jackson in his last bout and lost to Mario Bautista is a very good fighter. Montel Jackson as well. Very, very high-level fighters, high prospects that are very good. He had a win over Jose Johnson where he submitted him via twister in a very rare case. And then Luan Lacerda where he got a ground and pound. He looks very good in those fights. He just has been looking flat, though, lately. I think this is the perfect matchup in which Cody Stamann is coming to the later end of his career. He's got a good striking base. He's a decent inside boxer that sometimes looks awkward and clunky on the feet, but he shines mainly in the grappling area. I think he's got good grappling with solid takedowns, all right takedown defense. He had a fight that was not really close against Andrade, where he got beat easily and did not look good at all. He was flat. He looked dull. He was throwing a little bit clunky and just wild. And then he had the fight against Taylor Lapilus. I mean, Taylor Lapilus is a dog. What can I say? Taylor Lapilus is an absolute fucking savage. So I give him props on that one. I won't harp him as much for that one. But I think Damon Blackshear is going to be the better striker here. I think he's got the quicker, cleaner combinations. I think he's got good grappling with solid takedowns. I think he's got tricky submissions here as well. I do want to say that for Damon Blackshear. But something I really, really want to note to you guys, as you guys can see here, the reach advantage is fucking huge. He's got an insane reach advantage. Not only that, he has an insane height advantage. He's got a lot of advantages in this fight. I think Damon Blackshear is going to beat Cody Stamann. I think that he's going to outstrike him, out-grapple him, and beat Cody Stamann on the feet and in the grappling department. And let's go ahead and look at the odds here, in which Stamann sitting at a plus 245, Blackshear sitting at a negative 285. I like Blackshear. I think he's a good parlay piece. I think the over 2.5 is also very live. I like that as a parlay piece too. I think this definitely goes to decision. I think Blackshear beats Cody Stamann in a very close battle, 29-28. I think Blackshear is the better striker and the better grappler. I think that it's going to be very close, though. That's why I like the over 2.5 sitting at a negative 360. And let's go ahead and move along to the next bout on this prelim in Charles Radtke versus Matthew Semelsberger. And in this one, I am going with Charles Radtke. I think Charles Radtke's pressure-heavy fight style is going to propel him to the win here against Matthew Semelsberger, who recently had surgery on his arm and is coming off of multiple losses. As you guys can see, lost to Preston Parsons, lost to Eros Medic, who he got knocked out by via spinning back fist, then ground and pounded, then lost via split decision to Jeremiah Wells, where he got dropped multiple times in that bout. Multiple times in that bout. He is very chinny. He's a good striker with knockout power, stiff jab. He throws power hooks. He throws looping shots. He's just not UFC caliber. He's an all-right grappler with decent takedown defense. I mean, there's not much to say about this guy other than he's a very mediocre fighter. He is not UFC caliber. He thrives in a brawl. He likes a bar fight. That's really where he belongs, is in a bar fight, because he does not have the skill nor the caliber to be in UFC. I think that this is going to be his last fight here. I think that Charles Radtke is going to send him to the regional scene. I think that Charles Radtke is the better fighter. I think that though he lost against Carlos Prates, I mean, Carlos Prates is literally fucking headlining this event. Carlos Prates is an absolute fucking dog. He's a savage. He's somebody that you don't want to fuck with. And Charles Radtke had to. He had to get in the cage with him, and it ended badly for him. That is no bad take on Charles Radtke, because he went in there with somebody that's an absolute dog and is still coming back to fight another day. He beat Gilbert Arena via nasty hook. Charles Radtke is a good striker with knockout power. Like I said, he has nasty hooks which he knocked out Gilbert Urbino with. He's a solid grappler as well as a good striker. So he's got every single department checked. He's got strong takedowns. He trains with the likes of Belal Muhammad. So you know he's got good grappling. He's got good striking. I think that he's going to absolutely destroy Matthew Semelsberger and send him back to the regional scene. Like I said, Matthew Semelsberger is not UFC caliber, not UFC material. Get him out of here. Give me Charles Radtke. And let's look at the odds here, in which I'm very surprised at. Charles Radtke sitting at a -155. Matthew Semelsberger sitting at a +135. I like Charles Radtke. I think he beats Matthew Semelsberger. I think that this is one of those fights that I'm not going to pick on the rounds. I think that it's going to be very close. I think Charles Radtke could take out Matthew Semelsberger, but I also think that this could go to decision. I'm going to say Charles Radtke. I said Matthew Charles. Charles Radtke ends Matthew Semelsberger early, and I'm going with the under 2.5 if I had to pick. And let's go ahead and move along to the next bout in Mansur Abdul-Malik versus Dusko Todorovic. And I am going with Mansur Abdul-Malik. I feel like that's the only way to go here. Dusko is just very inconsistent. I mean, as you guys can see here, he got knocked out by Duncan, got a knockout over Jordan Wright, then got knocked out by Chidi Bang Bang, then got a knockout over Pitolo, then lost to Gregory Rodriguez. He's a very inconsistent fighter. He's a decent striker with obviously knockout power, as you guys can tell with the knockouts, but he's very chinny. As we know, as you guys can see, he got knocked out by 3 different people. There's 2 different people, but there's a third person as well that you guys can't see. It's Punal Soriano. He got knocked out by him as well. So Dusko is a very chinny person that has all right grappling. He is just not somebody that I want to bet on, or that anybody should bet on, to be honest. If you're looking for a dog, this is not him. He's too inconsistent. He gets knocked out. He is very, very chinny. He throws looping shots. This is not the guy you want to pick. On the other side, we have Mansur Abdul-Malik, who is a pressure-heavy fight style, a good striker coming off of a knockout of Wes Schultz in the Contender Series via ground and pound. And he looked good in doing so. I mean, he's got tremendous power. He's got very good grappling to go along with his good striking and stiff jab. He mainly shines in the grappling department. I mean, he's got strong takedowns. He's got good takedown defense. If you're at the bottom of this guy and he starts landing ground and pound, you're done. You might as well just call it quits. You might as well just tap on the fucking canvas. You might as well act like he's fucking submitting you. You're done. He's got devastating fucking ground and pound. He's got the huge reach and slight height advantage over Dusko Todorovic as well. So that is something to note. He's got a huge reach advantage and then a slight height advantage. So I'm going with Mansur Abdul-Malik. I think that he's the better all-around fighter. I think he has the obvious grappling advantage. I think on the feet he's even more technical and slicker than Dusko Todorovic, who is very inconsistent. So give me Mansur Abdul-Malik to beat Dusko Todorovic. And let's go ahead and look at the odds here, in which Mansur Abdul-Malik sitting at a -340. Dusko Todorovic sitting at a +280. I like Mansur Abdul-Malik. I think that he's a very good parlay addition, as well as the under 1.5. I think that this goes under. I think that Mansur Abdul-Malik ends Dusko Todorovic early. I think that he's very live to end this early. I think that he could submit him, but I also think that he could knock him out because of Dusko Toto's chin, man. He's very chinny, has been knocked out multiple times as of lately, and I'm going Mansur Abdul-Malik via knockout and the under 1.5, sitting at a negative 145. And let's go ahead and throw it to the next fight, in which is a banger fight between Nicholas Dalby versus Zaleski, Iluzu Zaleski. This is an absolute banger between these two. This is a rematch where Dalby won split decision the first time, and I'm going with Dalby to win this second time. Although they do have a similar fight style, I think that Dalby will be able to get the better of Zaleski. I think that though Dalby is coming off of a loss to Rinat Fakhretdinov and Zaleski got a draw against him, I think that Dalby is the better striker. I think he's got good striking with knockout power. He's a fighter that likes to get up in your face, walk you down, make you very uncomfortable, overwhelm you, pick you apart. He's tough. He's durable. Nicholas Dalby is just that guy, man. I really think that this fight is going to go exactly how the first fight did. It's going to be a very close battle in which Nicholas Dalby uses that striking of his, finds the success in the striking, mixes in those takedowns, those level changes. I think that Zaleski, like I said, has a similar fight style. He's coming off of a loss to Randy Brown over here, where he was getting outworked, picked apart, and he just didn't look the best. I think that Nicholas Dalby could do a similar thing. I think it's going to be a lot closer, obviously, than Randy Brown, because I don't think he's as slick as Randy Brown on the feet. I do think he's slicker than Zaleski, though, in which I think Zaleski has good striking, like I said, has good inside boxing. I will say that Zaleski has better inside boxing than Dalby, I will say, with the nasty elbows, nasty knees. I think that grappling-wise, he's a good grappler with decent takedown defense. I think that he's tricky in the submissions. I think that we're going to see Nicholas Dalby get the better of Zaleski in a very, very close brawl. This could be fight of the night between these two. These two are going to absolutely go to fucking war together. I think that this could be fight of the night. This is going to be one I'm going to be watching out for, because this is going to be fireworks. These guys are going to throw down, in which there's going to be a lot of striking exchanges, a little bit of clinching exchanges, obviously, and the grappling exchanges. And I think Nicholas Dalby is going to get the better of Zaleski, just like he did the first time. Give me Nicholas Dalby to beat Iluzu Zaleski. And let's look at the odds here, in which Nicholas Dalby is sitting at a negative 118 and Zaleski sitting at a negative 102. I am going with Nicholas Dalby to beat Zaleski. Over 2.5 sitting at a negative 400. Under 2.5 sitting at a plus 300. I think this goes over. I think this goes to the decision. I think that it's going to be Nicholas Dalby getting a 29-28 in an absolute fucking brawl between these two. Like I said, this is going to be fireworks. This could be fight of the night. I think these two are going to be slinging and banging. A little bit of clinch work and grappling exchanges, but mainly striking on the feet. And give me Nicholas Dalby to beat Iluzu Zaleski dos Santos. And let's go ahead and throw it to the next card. This next fight, Jesus. In Luana Pinheiro versus Gillian Robertson. And I am going with Gillian Robertson to beat Luana Pinheiro. Gillian Robertson is coming off of a dominant win over Michelle Waterson Gomez. And she also destroyed Poliana Viana in their bout. Absolutely fucking destroyed her. Gillian Robertson has been looking good as of lately. She has the one loss to Tabitha Ricci, who is an up-and-coming prospect, a very, very highly touted prospect who's good striking and grappling-wise. So no knock on that one. I think Gillian Robertson is going to get it done here. I think she's got good striking with a stiff jab. She's got snappy kicks, high and low. She's a great grappler as well. Strong takedown. She aggressively advances positions on her opponents. She maintains control of you when she gets you down. You do not want to be under Gillian Robertson. I will say that. You do not want to be there. I think Gillian Robertson has the clear-cut grappling advantage here. I think Luana Pinheiro is a little bit overrated. She's kind of a stick-and-poke type fighter, kind of a point fighter, if you would say. She's coming off of a a submission loss to Angela Hill, What I meant to say is she had the close decision against Michelle Waterson, in which Gillian Robertson destroyed her. Gillian Robertson destroyed Waterson, whereas it was a very close split decision between her and Luana Pinheiro. Just something I wanted to mention. But Luana Pinheiro has good striking. She's got a stiff jab. She's got clean, quick combinations. She maintains distance, keeps her opponent at bay. Like I said, she likes to strike from the outside. She's a decent grappler with decent takedown defense. I think Gillian Robertson has the grappling advantage. I think that Luana Pinheiro is going to have the slight striking advantage. I think it's going to be fairly close on the feet. I think that it's not a huge difference in striking for Luana Pinheiro. I think it's a huge difference in the grappling. I think Gillian Robertson has a clear-cut grappling advantage, and I think that she's going to use it here. I think that's going to be one of the keys. I think she's going to level change on Luana Pinheiro, use that striking of hers to mix it up and mix in those level changes. Give me Gillian Robertson to beat Luana Pinheiro. And let's look at the odds here, in which Luana Pinheiro is sitting at a plus 285, Gillian Robertson sitting at a negative 350. I like Gillian Robertson. I think she has a clear-cut grappling advantage, and I think that she could find a submission on Luana Pinheiro. I really do feel as though that she has a clear grappling advantage. Over 2.5 sitting at a plus 120, under 2.5 sitting at a negative 150. I like the under 2.5. Give me Gillian Robertson to submit Luana Pinheiro. And let's go ahead and throw it to the next bout in Gerald Meerschaert versus Reinier de Ryder. And this is an interesting one, actually, because Reinier de Ryder is actually a former 2-division champ over at one, a different company, different, promotion is what I'm trying to say. He is a very good fighter that's coming off of a win over Kasiev in the UAE Warriors. He had 2 losses before that to Anatoly Malikin, Anatoly either way, who looks like he eats nothing but roids. That guy is definitely roided up, so take the losses with a grain of salt, because I believe that he is definitely taking roids, and that is just something I want to note. I think that Reinier de Ryder is the cleaner striker over Gerald Meerschaert. I think that he's got a quick, stiff jab. I think he mixes up his shots well. Not only that, he's a great grappler. I think he's actually going to be the better grappler over Gerald Meerschaert, which is hard to say because Meerschaert is a very, very high-level grappler. I think that Reinier de Ryder is just as good of a grappler. I think he's got strong takedowns. I think that he's got sneaky submissions. I believe that he's going to have the grappling and striking advantage over Gerald Meerschaert. I really do. I think Reinier de Ryder is going to be all around better than Gerald Meerschaert, who is coming to the later end of his career. Like I said, he is a tough son of a bitch, but I think that he's going to be beat here. He's coming off of 2 wins, one against Edmund Shabazian, where he got the submission arm triangle finish, but he was getting beat before this. He was getting beat the crap out of by Edmund, but then Edmund messed up and Gerald Meerschaert took full advantage and got the submission finish. And props to Gerald Meerschaert. I mean, he made a mistake and Gerald capitalized on it. Gerald Meerschaert is a okay striker with a stiff jab. He's all right with mixing up his shots. He's mainly a good grappler with solid takedowns. When he gets you down, he maintains control of you. He has nice ground and pound. He's got decent takedown defense. I think that Reinier de Ryder is going to be able to beat Gerald Meerschaert. I mean, I think that Gerald Meerschaert's coming to the later end of his career. Like I said, I think Reinier de Ryder is coming into this UFC, and I think he's going to do wonders in the light heavyweight division with his grappling arsenal. I think that there's a lot of light heavyweights that don't really have that grappling arsenal that he does, like Khalil Roundtree, Alex Pereira, who else? There's a bunch of people in the division that don't really bring that grappling threat that Reinier de Ryder brings to this. So I'm definitely going to be looking forward to seeing him fight Gerald Meerschaert this weekend. Give me Reinier de Ryder to beat Gerald Meerschaert. And let's look at the odds here, in which Reinier de Ryder sitting at a negative 285, Gerald Meerschaert sitting at a 245, plus 245. I like Reinier de Ryder. I think he's a good parlay addition. I think he's a good money line route. I think he's all around better than Meerschaert. striking-wise and grappling-wise. I think he brings more of a threat on the feet. And in the grappling department, I think he's going to be stronger and quicker and more explosive. Give me Reinier the Rider to beat Gerald Meerschaert over 1.5, sitting at a negative 205. I like the over 1.5. I think this goes the distance, and I think Rider beats Gerald Meerschaert. And let's go ahead and throw it to the next bout, in which is Ricky Turcios versus Bernardo Sopaj. And I am going with Bernardo Sopaj in this one. Bernardo Sopaj is a well-rounded fighter that's got good striking. He's got legit knockout power. He's got sneaky good low and high kicks. He's a very good grappler. So he's not only a good striker, he's a very good grappler with strong takedowns. He's got great takedown defense. He's got really good scrambles as well. When he gets taken down, he's very good at scrambling and getting out of there and exploding to his feet. I am taking Bernardo Sopaj over Ricky Turcios. Yes, it just recently lost to Vincus Oliveira via flying knee, which a lot of people probably wouldn't come back from, but he came back from. I do worry about his chin. We don't know as far as that goes if his chin is still there, but I think that he's going to be able to beat Ricky Turcios, who is a good striker that likes to maintain distance. He's got a quick, stiff jab. He's got nice, snappy kicks. He's a good grappler with decent takedown defense and tricky submissions. I just think that Ricky Turcios hasn't been looking the greatest as of lately. He lost to Raul Rojas Jr. He did look good in the sense of grappling. He did take Raul Rojas Jr.'s back at one point in that fight, in the beginning of the fight, if I'm not mistaken. And he looked good in doing so. I think that Bernardo Sopaj is going to have the striking advantage. I think he's going to be a lot better on the feet than Ricky Turcios, who's going to look to maintain distance and kind of sneak in a couple takedowns. I think Bernardo is going to be able to snub those takedowns. I think he's going to be the stronger fighter. I think he's going to be able to outstrike Ricky Turcios, also mix in those level changes with his striking, find success, take down Ricky Turcios, maintain control of him, beat him. I think that he's going to be the better striker and the better grappler. I think that Ricky Turcios brings the submission threat, but I think Bernardo Sopaj is going to be able to fare well and be able to beat Ricky Turcios. I mean, he's got the win over Vergara's where he looked good. Lopez, I mean, he's got legit knockout power on Sopaj's side. I really feel as though he could knock out Ricky Turcios, but we also do have to worry about Sopaj's chin after the recent flying knee knockout. But give me Bernardo Sopaj to beat Ricky Turcios. And let's go ahead and look at the odds on this fight, in which we have Ricky Turcios sitting at a plus 230, Bernardo Sopaj sitting at a negative 270. Like I said, I'm going with the Sopaj route. I think that he brings more of a striking threat. I think in terms of grappling, it's going to be fairly close. I think that Ricky Turcios brings the tricky submissions, but I think Bernardo Sopaj is going to be the stronger fighter, more explosive fighter. I think he's going to have the better striking and cleaner combinations on Ricky Turcios. Give me Bernardo Sopaj to beat Ricky Turcios, and the over 2.5 sitting at a negative 180, under 2.5 sitting at a plus 150. I like the over 2.5, but I also caution it because I feel like Sopaj could end Turcios. I'm going with the under. I'm going to say under 2.5. Give me Bernardo Sopaj to knock out Ricky Turcios. I think he gets it done. I think he finds a way to end it early. And let's go ahead and bring it to the next fight on the main card, which is Karolina Kowalkiewicz. Hopefully I said that right. Versus Denise Gomes. And I am going with Denise Gomes. She is the more explosive fighter here. I think that she is coming off of a win against Eduarda Mora, who is a great fighter that trains with the likes of Jonathan Almeida. And not only did she get this split decision win over a great fighter here, she got the win over Yasmin Yari, where she knocked her out and exposed Yari's chin. And Yari ended up getting knocked out again later after this fight. She really did expose her chin. Denise Gomes has good striking with quick hands, has that legit knockout power, as we know, has good grappling, has decent takedown defense. I believe that she's going to have the striking and power advantage here against Karolina. I think where Karolina is going to look to take this is to the ground. I believe that Karolina has the grappling advantage and the gas tank advantage, which I will touch up on in a little bit. I think that Karolina has solid grappling with good jiu-jitsu. She maintains control of you when she gets you down. She's very good at holding you and not letting you get up and just pressuring you, making you uncomfortable and overwhelming you. But I think that she lacks in the striking department. I think that she likes to strike from range, but kind of looks awkward and clunky at sometimes. She maintains distance when she strikes. I think that Denise Gomes is just too explosive of a fighter and will be able to enter and exit the pocket with ease. Though I do worry about the gas tank, which is what I'm going to talk about now. Because Denise Gomes, as this fight goes on, I do feel like it favors Karolina because of Denise Gomez's tank. Towards the middle to end of the second, she starts to gas out. I'd say mid-second, she starts to gas out and starts to slow down, where we could see Karolina start picking it up, maybe even being better on the striking aspect and getting some better takedowns and maintaining control of Denise. So I do worry about that, but I think first 2 rounds, I think Denise will be fine. I think where we really have to worry about is that 3rd round. That's where I think we really have to worry about Denise Gomes. But I think other than that, I think first, 2nd round she gets easily. I think she's going to be the more explosive, the better fighter on the feet. And in the striking department, I think she's going to be able to snub and fare well against Karolina Kowalkiewicz. Give me Denise Gomes. And let's look at the odds here, in which Karolina Kowalkiewicz is sitting at a plus 385. Denise Gomes sitting at a negative 500. I like Denise. I think that she's a good parlay addition. I think she's got the obvious striking advantage. I think she's slicker on the feet, more technical. I think that she also has the obvious power advantage. She's got legit knockout power and could find that shot on Karolina. Give me Denise to beat Karolina. And the over 2.5 sitting at a negative 300, under 2.5 sitting at a plus 240. I like the over. I think this goes over. I think Denise could catch Karolina, but I see this maybe going to the distance in a very hard-fought brawl between these two. Karolina, like I said, has a slight grappling advantage, but Denise, I think, will get the better of her in the striking aspect and be able to snub her in the grappling aspect. Give me Denise to beat Karolina. And let's go ahead and throw it to the co-main event in Cody No Love Garbrandt versus Miles Chapo Jones. And this one is a very, very interesting one between these two, because I am going with Cody Garbrandt, and I'm going to tell you why. I think he's the slicker, more technical fighter. I think he's a good striker with a stiff jab. He's got clean, quick combinations. He's been more patient as of lately. He's got that knockout power. He's got all right grappling skills, which is where I do worry about with Cody Garbrandt. I mean, as we saw in his fight against Figueiredo, he struggled on the ground. But again, that's Figueiredo. He's up amongst the top ranked in the division. So understandably so why he had troubles. I do worry about that in this fight. I think that Miles John is very good in terms of grappling. I think Miles John has the grappling advantage. I think Miles John has good striking with knockout power, snappy low and high kicks. But he mainly shines in the grappling, where he's got strong takedowns. He maintains control of you when he gets you down. He advances positions. But Miles Johns did get chinned by Mario Batista in their fight. So I do want to mention that. Yes, he has looked good as of lately against Douglas, who is older and to the end of his career. Then you have Cody Gibson, who just fought recently and looked phenomenal. And Miles Johnson beat him in grappling and looked phenomenal doing so in his own game. Then you have the no contest over Dan Argueta. Then we have the win over Vince Morales. I think that if we're talking about resume, if you look, I mean, yes, Cody Garbrandt lost to Davidson Figueiredo, but who over here has the same caliber of, like, the same skill set is what I'm trying to say as Davidson Figueiredo, the former champ? Nobody over there. Then you have Brian Keller, who he knocked out via counter-striking with a counter right. And then you have Trevin Jones, who he beat the crap out of. Then you have Kai Kara France, where he got knocked out. A very high, top-level contender. literally top 5. And then you have Rob Font, same thing, absolute beast. You got some very, very high-level guys that have beat Cody Garbrandt. I think that Miles Johns, this is his toughest test yet, and I think that Cody Garbrandt has the holes for Miles Johns to win, but I think Cody Garbrandt is going to beat Miles Johns because he's faced a lot harder of opponents. Grappling-wise, I think he's going to be able to snub Miles Johns. I don't think that he's at the caliber of Deiveson Figueiredo's grappling abilities. I think that Cody Garbrandt is going to be able to outstrike Miles Johns, find those counter striking, find those counter strikes on Miles Johns as he's coming in to go for those takedowns and maybe even knock him out. Cody Garbrandt has legit knockout power. I think that he's going to be able to maintain distance, strike from the outside, beat Miles Johns, find those counter strikes, hit Miles Johns with a lot of clean strikes, and maybe even mix in some level changes. I really don't want him to go to the ground, but I think that he could find some takedowns and beat Miles Johns. I think that Cody Garbrandt has the likes to beat Miles Johns. I think he's been up against the better opponents. And let's go ahead and look at the odds here, in which Cody Garbrandt sitting at a plus 125, Miles Johns sitting at a negative 145. I like Cody Garbrandt. I do worry about the grappling aspect, like I said, but I think that Cody Garbrandt is still going to be able to fare well in that department because of the fact that he's been up against very well rounded fighters and very good grapplers. Deiveson Figueiredo, the former champion, very good grappler. I think Miles Johns doesn't have the grappling abilities that he does, and I think Cody Garbrandt will be able to snub and fare well in the takedown aspect. Give me Cody Garbrandt to beat Miles Johns. And the over 2.5, I think it goes over 2.5 at negative 140. And let's go ahead and throw it to the main event of the evening. And if you guys haven't, make sure you guys like and subscribe. And let's throw it to the main event in Neil Magny versus Carlos Prates. And we all know who I'm going with. I mean, there's only one way to go on this in picking this, and that is Carlos Prates. I am going with Carlos Prates. He's an elite kickboxer that's patient, calculated. He's coming off of a knockout win over Jingling and the knockout over Charles Radtke, which we talked about earlier. He's got great striking. He's got a quick, stiff jab. He likes to strike from the outside. He's got solid high and low kicks. He's, like I said, he's very patient and calculated. He's got one of the best striking arsenals I have seen in a while. I am very, very much a Carlos Prates fan. I am very excited for this fight. I think that he absolutely starches Neil Magny. I'm going to be honest. I think Carlos Prates is somebody different. He's got good grappling. He's a great striker, like I said. He's got solid takedown defense. He's got everything. He's literally a check all the boxes type of fighter. Like, no joke, if there was somebody to pick, it's Carlos Prates. He's a fucking savage, dude. He's part of the fighting nerds with Caio Baralho, all those motherfuckers that are absolute savages and you don't want to mess with. I think he absolutely crushes Neil Magny. Neil Magny is a gatekeeper journeyman that is coming off of a loss to Michael Morales, who landed a vicious elbow, dropping him and then following him up with ground and pound. Then we have the fight where he was losing to Mike Malott. He was losing the entire fight to Mike Malott, but then Malott got tired. He ultimately gassed out and got knocked out by Neil Magny. I mean, there's not much to say. It's just Mike Malott gassed out, and Neil Magny took full advantage and beat the crap out of him and knocked him out. Neil Magny is a good striker with decent jab, all right, with mixing in his shots to the head and to the body. He's a good grappler with all right clinch work, solid takedowns. But ultimately, Neil Magny is a mediocre fighter. He's a pretty good fighter, but he's just a gatekeeper and the journeyman. Everybody has to go through him to move up in the rankings, and that's exactly what Carlos Prates is doing here. And this is a funeral. This is a funeral for Neil Magny. We might as well just say it. It's a funeral for Neil Magny in which Carlos Prates is going to knock him the fuck out. Give me Carlos Prates to beat Neil Magny, and let's look at the odds here. Neil Magny sitting at a plus 500. Carlos Prates sitting at a negative 700. I am taking Neil Magny at plus 500. Give me him. Yeah, I'm fucking kidding. Give me Carlos Prates knockout. I think Carlos Prates definitely ends this early. And under 2.5, sitting at a negative 205. Give me under 2.5. I think that Carlos Prates ends it early. Like I said, I would take Prates inside the distance. I honestly like that at negative 400. It's not the best odds, but I mean, it's either that or take negative 700. I think Carlos Prates easily ends this early. I think that he's going to knock out Neil Magny. I think he's going to fucking starch him. I think that he's the better all-around fighter. He's too patient. He's too calculated. He's going to find that knockout shot on Neil Magny. Give me Carlos Prates to beat Neil Magny. And if you guys haven't, don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.